Hey everybody, this is Chris with Coalition Gaming here, and if you're in the market for a new computer build, this is going to be the top 5 list of the best CPU and GPU combos, in our opinion. Coming in at number 5, staying on the budget end of the spectrum, we have the Pentium G4560 or the G4600 because nowadays they're pretty close in price, paired with the GTX 1050 Ti. Now the 1050 Ti is a really good budget option at 1080p, coming in at around $150. That's a pretty good price point for that kind of card. However, if you can find it, the RX 470 and the RX 570 cards that are out there, sometimes you can get a good price on those. Before the mining craze hit, those ones you could find them for as low as about $160 if you have the right coupon codes. I know we did a build, it's going to be linked above here, over here, that had the G4600 and the RX 470, and it's running everything 60 FPS at 1080p on pretty much high settings, so it's definitely a good combo for the money. Coming in at number 4, moving up a little bit more on the budget list, we have the Ryzen 3 1200 and the 1060, the GTX 1060 6GB. I decided not to really go with the GTX 1060 3GB card because of the VRAM limitation. Nowadays games are taking more and more VRAM, and having more than 3 is pretty important. Battlefield 1 on ultra settings already at 1080p can take over 3 gigs of VRAM, so you will be at a disadvantage now and at a disadvantage in the long run going with the 3GB card. So let's stick with the 6GB card. Alternatively, you can go with an RX 480 or 580 if you can find them at the right price. Again, those cards are being driven up the wazoo, like in terms of pricing for mining, because well, they're some of the best cards to do that with. But if you can get them at the right price, the RX 480s and 580s at around $200 for the 4GB and $250 for the 8GB cards. They have a lot of power for them, especially in DX12 and Vulkan. And as far as the CPU goes, that Ryzen 3 is a 4-core, 8-thread, just like all the previous gen i7s. So at about $109 for the CPU, that you're getting the performance of previous gen i7s, which is really good at that price point. You can get into a little bit of rendering, a little bit of photo editing, streaming maybe a little bit, and still be pretty good with that combo. Coming in at number 3, we have the Ryzen 5 1600 and the GTX 1070. Now, this one is a little bit tougher to settle on the CPU because if you're going just for straight gaming, the i5 7600K is there and it's able to be overclocked for massive performance in games. However, the Ryzen 5 1600 has triple the thread count of the i5 7600K. So while it is at a little bit of disadvantage in terms of clock speed and IPC, it is at a massive advantage if you want to get into content creation, streaming, video rendering, all sorts of stuff like that, as well as good performance in games. The 1070 is going to get you great performance at 1080p. High refresh rate gaming is going to be off the hook, and you'll be getting into 4K on the appropriate settings or 1440p at really great settings. So this is a great combo regardless of which way you go. But again, the Ryzen has the advantage of being the lower cost option in this case because the motherboards are cheaper for overclocking with this one. Whereas if you go with the 7600K, you're going to want to overclock, and those motherboards are a little bit more expensive. So I'll let you guys think a little bit more about what's the best there, but in my opinion, the thread count of the Ryzen 5 1600 wins out. That's the best bang for the budget in this price bracket. Coming in at number 2, and this is a little bit of an odd one given what's currently happening in the CPU market from Intel, but number 2 is the i7 7700K and a GTX 1080. Now, the 1080 is still really good value where it's at because mining craze didn't really affect it in terms of pricing. It uses GDDR5X, which isn't conducive to mining. The type of memory that's on the 1070 is, and that's why those ones went up in price a little bit on that. So the 1080, great value, high refresh rate gaming, 1440p, ultra high, and getting into 4K as well. It's going to do great. But the 7700K, the reason I'm suggesting that one is mainly because Coffee Lake is hard to get. It's really just not going to be in stock for a while. In my opinion, it was a paper launch from Intel. They just rushed it out there so they can claim, that thread count performance crown. But there's still more to be said on that processor. Anyways, the 7700K you can get easily but motherboards for it aren't as expensive as a Z370. So Z270 and even the Z170 boards, if you can find them and they have the right BIOS version to support Kaby Lake, they're all out there, easy to get. And if you wanted something right away and you wanted the best performance you can possibly get in terms of gaming, you're there with the i7 7700K. That's at the top of the mountain. Not at the very tip top, but really high up there. Coming in at number 1, and I know I just said a little bit of negative things about it, but the truth is it is what it is. The proof is in the pudding. The i7 8700K is the king. That thing can overclock over 5 gigahertz. It is 6 cores, 12 threads, just like the Ryzen 5 1600. In a way, it's the Ryzen 5 1600 on steroids even. And you pair this with a 1080 Ti. So we're at the top of the price bracket here. So we're covering the whole range, guys, all of it. Top of the price bracket, top of the mountain in terms of performance, the 8700K overclock with the 1080 Ti. And you're going to be hitting every high refresh rate. You're going to be gaming in 4K, 1440p high refresh rate even, and it's just going to outperform everything in terms of single-threaded performance, multi-threaded performance. The 6-core 8700Ks are outperforming 8-core Ryzen, so think about that for a second. So this processor, if you want to do everything with it in terms of the consumer end level of hardware, not quite the enthusiast grade, but we're just talking about consumer grade stuff, this is the king. And you pair the 1080 Ti, which is the king of graphics cards, you got the best combo there, right there for you guys. So that's our top 5 list, everybody. I hope you liked it. I know lists like this can be kind of controversial, so leave a comment below. Let's talk about it. I love talking tech, and whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, make sure you go and follow us there. We'll talk wherever we're at. Leave a comment below. Let us know what other top 5 lists you guys want to see. Stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. We always got more coming. And if you guys want to see our next stuff, you want to see our top 5 stuff, let us know. And you want to see some more action, want to see Bitcoin Louie on our Twitch, get wrecked in PUBG, just go ahead and follow over there. Links are in the description below, everybody. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.